every aspect of it. And I said, and you remember how this feels. And I said to her, because one day, when you have children, when you have grandchildren, you may have to explain to them what this felt like, because they may not be here when that day comes. And then I thought about that afterwards. And I thought, I wonder how many fathers, how many mothers, how many grandfathers, how many grandmothers had a similar conversation with their children in the 1860s, the 1870s, the 1880s, the 1890s, the 1900s. And here I was in the 2000s having that conversation. They were probably talking about language then, land, ceremonies, other sacred beings like the buffalo. But here I was, like in the early 2000s, having that same conversation. And it really brought that home to me. So, our chief sent this statement for me to read to you guys. So, Ricky, if you would hold it over there, I may actually be able to read it. Because it's a very small print. It says, greetings, Chairman Marchand, Vice Chairman Taskett, Honorable Council members. It says, like many nations in your homelands, the Piikani Nation of the Blackfoot Confederacy's relationship with the United States is enshrined by treaty. In the context of our people's history, that passage of time from 1855 until now is the blink of an eye. From the moment our ancestors set foot upon the earth, the Buxakui has been with us, guiding, teaching, protecting, enshrined in song, fundamental to sacred bundles. Any destabilizations in the two remaining grizzly populations in the U.S., the island population of Yellowstone, genetically isolated from the population in what remains of the Blackfoot Confederacy homelands, will, of course, undermine the grizzly population in the rest of the crown of the continent. We cannot stand by and watch our ancestors' legacy pass into oblivion with the sacred grizzly bear, and see our children and future generations robbed once more of a vital part of their culture, that which is represented by the sacred and spiritual power of the grizzly bear. We must recognize that this struggle for the protection and preservation of the great bear is a struggle for the very spirit of the land, a struggle for the soul of all we have ever been or will ever become. Within the struggle to protect the grizzly, we find many of our struggles. The struggle to defend our sovereignty, the struggle to defend our treaty rights, the struggle to preserve and enforce consultation mandates, the struggle to defend and strengthen our spiritual and religious freedoms. We do not need to elaborate upon the impact that the trophy killing of a being we consider to be fundamental to our cultures and spiritual well-being will have on our people and their ability to practice their spirituality, or how that will be exacerbated if that killing is committed on sacred land in proximity to sacred sites. But we do need to raise the specter of the destruction of these sacred sites if, as appears inevitable from information we have received through documents obtained by the Freedom of Information Act, corporate energy development is initiated on the lands the grizzly presently occupies through its ESA status. We remain the stewards of the land, and our ancestors and spiritual practices will forever be the conscience of the lands that were taken from us. Our brothers and sisters gathered at Standing Rock to oppose the Dakota Access Pipeline have been reminding the world that water is life. How lost many are in this modern day that they need such a reminder. Truly, water is the lifeblood of our Mother Earth, and the grizzly bear is the guardian of both. And so, Mr. Chairman, I invite you to sign this document with us and all the other nations, leaders, and elders who have signed it. And I extend that invitation to all members of the council. Thank you, Chief Stan Greer, Chief of the Piikani Nation of the Blackfoot Confederacy. I don't know if elders want to share any words.
This gentleman has been here for 3 days, and we've had conversation about the things that we fight as Indian people. The water at Standing Rock, the pipeline, the killing of the wolves here in the state of Washington, the battle that we fight over water here at the dam. All of these things are according to our people, are very important to us. And so what happens with these corporations that was mentioned in the letter, they could care less about treaty rights, hunting rights, gathering rights. And so today, you know, he's been down to my house and we visited, and I was going back 50 years, 60 years about the battles that our tribe has fought. We call them winnings, but actually we're existing. And so today we're just here to support this gentleman in this document. And like he said, it's not a binding treaty. It's not a binding agreement. It's just kind of a MOU that's saying that we're supporting this effort. And so I think it's important that even though the Piikani Nation is in Canada, it's up by Brockett, Alberta, some of the Nez Perce people have settled, and he knows the history of those people that went to Canada and they settled at Pinch Creek. And so I welcomed him into my home because a lot of that information we shared together. And so today, all of the things, the people that have signed this document are on the bottom, and they include tribal members, tribal elders, tribal chairmen of different tribes of the state. And he's going to be traveling around until the end of November getting these signers on this document, because at the end of November he has to turn it in. But I think it's important we as Indian people stand together against, like the oil pipeline, the battle that we fight down here with the dam over water. You know all of that history. You know those battles. And so that's kind of what he's doing here. And I appreciate him coming down here because he's put on a lot of miles just in order to have this document known. Because a lot of times people don't understand what's going on with all of the things that we consider sacred. And so I appreciate this presentation. I thank you for allowing us to do that.
I too would like to mention, you know, some of our issues that we have here is similar to what he was explaining to me at my home. What I've run into down here on the Wenatchee River on the icicle was, you know, you guys have no more reservation here. You guys, there are different white people coming over there talking to us, telling us that some of them were nice about it, and some of them were not so nice. But that when they brought that to our attention, I told, I said, this is our Aboriginal fishing place. We still, even though my mom and them were removed from there, they never did sign anything. Even when they got here, they never signed anything. So when I was brought up in the late forties and early fifties, a young child, I had to go down there with my uncles. And, some of those orchardists, the older people were real nice about it, that you folks were here, original people, you were here before us. So I have no qualms about it. But now that I start teaching my sons all of this that I've been taught, now the younger people of those orchardists, are afraid of the Washington state laws are changing, and they don't want to be subjected to their laws, so they say, well, would rather not. We can make our scaffolds in the evening, take it down in the morning. But they just want to be a part of it, so I tell them I understand. So, when a lot of those things take place, and that's what I saw in this hunting. Back in the 60s, there's a Willard Lampuya case, is in this first road here. He got married down the Lapway. So he and his in-laws went hunting down there in Wallowa, where our fathers were from. Well, they got caught, so they went to court. So my mother and them used to beadwork fast as they could, because Lapway sponsored their people, but Willard was from up here, so we had to, my mom and them beadwork to help pay for his lawyer. Well, we won. So, it seemed like some of those things would be like set precedents for the 11 other tribes on this reservation. So, we've got a lot of territory from the 12 tribes on this reservation here, all over the Northwest. That's why some of these things, even now, like the Standing Rock, trying to protect the water, that was our first medicines of anything. A lot of these things, different things that this man is coming about, there are other people trying to do similar to what's going on here. And some of it on this Columbia River and tributaries has to do with fishing. And that's what really gets me interested in, because I was brought up fishing just all my life that I can remember. Thanks for your time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, all of you. Guys have any comments, Council? Ricky?
Appreciate you coming in, all three of you, and helping the council stay aware of some of the issues that we have. We were talking earlier a little bit about this, the council, some of the council that were here. You were mentioning some of these corporations having long-range goals and objectives, and that's one of the, if there's an obstacle in the way, they have teams of people that strategize how to remove those obstacles. And when some of those obstacles are either tribes or either that or endangered species, and natural resources generally, tribes and natural resources and endangered species all go together. So those corporations strategize how to get past those and how to remove those. And I think that's where some of our council, that was part of our discussion is we have council with varied experiences and backgrounds, and Larry's has a military background, so he was explaining that that's what the military, some of the things that the military on military bases and stuff,